I saw on Instagram that or maybe it was the gym website, your father, Sensei Dennis, said his biggest accomplishment in judo was promoting you to fourth degree black belt. If that's his biggest accomplishment, then what would you say yours is?
Um, I feel like that's a great question. I feel like mine is definitely getting strong and stable going.
Mm,
Our safe falling program for folks over 55, like having already seen an impact and heard from folks who have fallen safely, and just knowing how devastating falls can be for folks in that age. Um, Once we got it going, and it's still building steam. I kind of instantly knew that, the film stuff is great and it's very personally fulfilling to me to get to kind of tie in my backgrounds, and it's very, expressive for me. Like I love my film career, but I'm without a doubt, strong and stable is, I think, will be the best thing I have to contribute.
okay. Can you talk a little bit more about what the Strong and Stable program is and maybe some of the feedback you've gotten from it that you had mentioned?
Yeah. So strong and stable, like I said, it's a safe falling program for folks over 55. And we start with judo ukemi. So we start on the ground, and we go over the basic shapes to make. And then we quickly move into kind of what resembles stunt training. So my stunt training has kind of informed this. And then the eco training that we do in judo has really heavily informed this. Um, for folks who, especially if they've already fallen and they've already broken a wrist, or we've had people who have broken both wrists or elbow or hip, um, there's a lot of fear around falling. And it's something that I realized, my mom had a very severe fall where she completely shattered her elbow. Dad, when he falls, if he, actually both my parents fell last week. When dad falls, there's no big deal. He's now in his 70s, mid 70s. So when he falls as a seventh degree black belt, he knows what to do. He needed a knee replacement, and right before his knee kind of gave out, and he fell in the courtroom, and it was no big deal because he's like, no, the bailiff, everybody comes over, and the sheriff, and he's like, it's no big deal. I know how to, he didn't hurt himself when he fell. Most people, that's not the case.
Right.
So I kind of realized, especially with our older senseis, Sensei Willard, Sensei Greg. Sensei Willard is 82 now. So he's experienced some falls at home. And it's kind of same thing. When our judo people fall, we fall like everybody else accidentally, but we don't hurt ourselves generally. Or
Mhm.
there might be some minor bruising or bruised egos. But when people who aren't informed how to fall correctly, it can be catastrophic. It can be life changing. It can be life altering. So in seeing kind of these two worlds, I was like, okay, we need to take this fundamental skill of ukemi and make it adaptable. So a small group of us traveled to the Netherlands earlier this year. And in Europe, in the Netherlands particularly, they've been doing safe falling using judo skills for a decade. Some of these programs longer. And in the United States, it's fairly non-existent. We say um, fall prevention, right? That's what we say in the United States: fall prevention, fall prevention. Like even the name itself is going to make people afraid of falling. And like we say in stunts, it's not the fall that gets you; it's the impact, and
Mm.
that's where ukemi specifically excels. Is it distributes that impact and reduces the impact. So it's been taking that, and like I said, we use some inspiration from our stunt training, and once we work the progressions of, we start here and then we build up, and then we kind of start to take the crash pads away as we build confidence, and we use music, we play games. The eco games has really informed what we do, because we're trying to manipulate the task, the environment, the individual to a degree, and they have fun with it. And when folks are no longer fearful of falling, but they're laughing. It's a totally different dynamic, and they're learning, and they pick it up quicker and they retain it longer when you're in that play state instead of this binary right wrong. That if it's wrong, you're going to create hesitation. But if you're
Mm.
playing, then you can explore and you can play with your balance and your orientation and your proprioception of like, okay, I'm falling this way, but it's not a perfect chin tuck slap the side zucchini. If you fall in your living room, you're not going to want to do a perfect side fall. Maybe you slap the coffee table and break your arm. You have to kind of modify and explore and find these things that work for your body, especially older individuals. They've picked up injuries or there's wear and tear in their shoulders or elbows, and maybe even slapping the mat hurts. But there's some neat studies being done in Europe and Asia where they're doing vibration studies. So maybe the slaps actually, if you can do it, what they're finding is the vibration can even help with things like osteoporosis, and it helps like harden the bones. So there's a lot of neat studies, but it's still very much kind of a new frontier as far as specifically teaching ukemi or safe falling skills to older adults to protect and reduce those severe impacts. But it's turned into one of my favorite classes because we'll have folks, once we kind of get them to a certain point, we start throwing things in front of them to trip them. I mean, there's crash pads, but we throw things in front of them to trip them, have them close their eyes and walk towards things, and we do induce an actual trip. And they start laughing, but they're doing ukemi. So we've had folks already who have fallen at home and have fallen on brick and fallen on concrete, and they're like, yeah, it was no big deal. So that's what we're going for.
Wow, that's awesome. And how many classes a week is the program, and how long does it last?
Right now it's a couple days a week, but we're adding a level 2 in 2026. So we'll double that. We'll have 4 classes, and the duration is about an hour, about 55
Okay.
minutes. So we include some mobility and some strength in there as well, but obviously focusing on the ukemi and the eco games so that we get super quick retention. We've had my mom who shattered her elbow. She's super active. I've tried to get her. It's like mom, like I mean, she used to like rollerblade, but she would rollerblade like into people or into ditches. Like it's like
Mm.
I've got to teach you how to fall safely. And after her accident with walking her dog, which is a really common situation, come to find out, people are walking their dog and they get pulled, and um, after, and that's informed how we do our games, how we do. You take an obi and you've got one end, I got the other, and I'm the dog, I'm going, and then okay, we give you a yank, and then you figure out how to fall, how to make it work, and it's maybe not that perfect angle, but you figure it out. Um, we're looking to we're looking at double classes, and I'd love to do it every day of the week if we can.
That's really fun. And just that like little example of the dog, like someone pulls on the belt and makes it simulate that dog pulling you or something like that. Like that sounds really, I don't know, I could just picture it. Like that seems like a fun little exercise that is better than just, us doing 100 break falls and hoping that we get it right. You mentioned like people have the fear of falling. Like even in judo, I see it. People that are young and in shape, they come in and they're beginners and they have this tension in their body. They don't want to fall. There's like fear of it. And I think like taking that away, that fear is really important.
Yeah, yeah, and to make it fun, to go one step further and like get people laughing, it just totally. I mean, there's all kind of, you can do social connection. It's no longer this thing. It's no longer this obstacle. It's just now it's a skill. And it's not one that they ever thought that they would have. So it's neat to be able to, even after one class, I got to say, my mom came in the one day and I threw 3 weeks of curriculum at her. And she was like, whoa, it was in an hour. And I was like, okay, we're going over forward falls and back falls and side falls, and which is more than I normally do. But she lives out of state now. So I was like, okay, I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at her. And she experienced a fall last week. And fell on concrete and was like, no big deal. She wrote me a text message like this long, like, oh, strong and stable worked. I couldn't believe it. After one class, like it was right there. I did the things. I tucked my chin. I pulled my arms in. No big deal. It's like, finally,
I,
it's really rewarding. Yeah.
yeah, that's got to be awesome to hear, especially like it's your mom. So that's like, thank God she was safe.